Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the best point guards in NBA 2K23 MyTEAM here on this tier list. Before we hop into the video, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 10,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, and I would really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. So we got about 25 of the best point guards currently in MyTEAM on this tier list to rank. If there's any point guards that I leave off the list that you would like to hear my opinion on, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll let y'all know what I think of those cards. Without further ado, we're going to hop right into it. We're going to start off with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson at only 6 foot tall is very, very small, but his stats are really good. His battles are very good, and his animations are pretty solid as well. I really like his release. He's a very capable slasher. His perimeter defense is awesome. He's just so small that it hurts him on the interior, but he still does have great stats and badges, and I think he's a pretty fun card to use. He's just not an elite level point guard at this point in the year, unfortunately, so gonna put him in the C tier. S tier for Big Ben Simmons, 6'11", best defensive PG in the game, probably the best slashing PG in the game as well. Great playmaker, just not the greatest shooter in the world, but still a top 5 point guard for sure, so definitely a card I'm very high on in the S tier for me. Damian Lillard, I'm going to go with the C tier as well. I don't think he's quite D tier, but I'm not super high on the card. I think he's got a good release, or a decent release. They did give him MJ dribble style in this card, which really helped a lot on the card. I think he's pretty good. I just don't think he's incredible. Again, he's undersized, and he's not a great defensive point guard, so that does hurt the card. But offensively, he's pretty fun. He's honestly a very solid offensive card, so we're going to go C tier with him as well. With about 25 cards on this list, Deni Avdija is right at that borderline for me of being a top 5 point guard, because I know there are 4 guys that I do like over him, one of them being Ben Simmons at the point guard position, but I think he might be number 5. In fact, no, I don't think he is. I think he's number 6 right now, to be completely honest. So we're going to throw him in the A tier. Deni's a good card. He's 6'9". He's the best option for budget players to compete against Ben Simmons and Magic Johnson. Still a competitive level card. Has a good release. Very solid defender. Great dunk animations. Just don't think he's quite, and I mean, he's close, but I don't think he's quite to the level of being an S tier PG at this point in the game, in my personal opinion. Dennis Johnson. I like his dunk animations. I love his defense. He's 6'4". He just doesn't give me enough as a shooter, in all honesty, with missing a lot of the shooting badges that he's missing. Just not quite a good enough shooter for me, to be completely honest, to be an elite level point guard. But I do like the defense a lot. I still think he's solid. I think you could even argue B tier, and I might wind up even moving him up a little bit. But for now, we're going to go C tier with him. Dion Waiters is a card that, in all honesty, I have not used as of yet, so we're going to have to check him out. He's only 6'3". He does have half limitless takeoff and posterizer. Good shooter. Half age and 3. Gold limitless range. Playmaking badges are awesome. Defensive stats and badges are pretty meh, especially for him only being 6'3". Sigs are not that incredible. Gabe Vincent base, I have not used. I think it's pretty decent though. Normal 2-leaner is fine. He does not have elite dunk animations. He's mid as well, to be completely honest. Because he's undersized, not a great defender. I mean, he is a very good slasher, it does look like, but unless that release is next level great, I think C tier is where you got to put him. Donovan Mitchell's D tier simply because I'm not a gigantic fan of his release, and he is only 6'1". I just think he struggles a little bit because of the size, and I don't think he quite gives me what Allen Iverson gives me on the offensive end at this point. That's just my opinion. I think you could even move Allen Iverson down to D tier, but for now, I'm going to leave him in C tier just because I like the card. Dwayne Wade has a slow release. That's his biggest flaw, to be completely honest, is that his release is not that great, because he is an awesome card all the way around outside of that. Like, he's very similar to Gary Payton, even probably a better slasher, but his release is pretty mid, which does hurt the card. With that being said, I am still going to put him in the A tier. He'll probably wind up being pretty low A, but I do think it is fair to put him in the A tier as of now. Gary Payton's going to go S tier for me. I legitimately think he's a top 5 point guard in the game. I'm that high on the card. I think he's top 4. He's really, really good. Awesome defender, has incredible sigs. Really the best dunk animation in the game is basically his only dunk animation as well. They gave him awesome animations. He's a top tier card. Super, super high on Gary Payton. Jamal Crawford. I have not used Jamal myself either, although I have seen a little bit of gameplay with him. Slashing wise, he's okay. He does have quick drops actually, so that does help. Release is decent. It's very similar to AIs. Sigs are actually very good. They're better than AIs, to be honest. Defensively, he's meh, but he is 6'5", so at least he gives you decent size. Great playmaker. He's better than Allen Iverson. I'm sorry. I know I wanted to put AI in above D tier. I really did, but he's only 6 foot. He's too small, man. I'm sorry, AI, but we're gonna throw Jamal in C tier. And we're gonna put AI in D tier. You could actually even argue that Jamal's higher than C tier. The other reason I'm putting him this low is because I don't like the defense, but his player build's never that great either, but like, he's arguably B tier. I mean, with the dunk animations and the shot creation, the sigs, he's offensively, at 6'5", because of the size, I'm going to put him in B tier. I think it's fair. James Harden's A tier, one of the more fun cards to use in the game. Feels a lot like a Harden card, I will say that, but he is I don't know, not the greatest defender in the world. He's decent defensively. I do like his release a lot. He's just not quite S tier, but I'm a fan of the card. Definitely an A tier guy. Ja Morant is also pretty okay. I don't love this Ja card. He's just, again, undersized. That's the #1 issue. But outside of that, I mean, he's got great slashing and great playmaking. Pretty good shooter. Decent defender. Not incredible. I mean, the defensive stats are very good. He does have Hoff clamps. I don't like the jaw dribble style. It's not very good. That does hurt him. He doesn't have top tier dunk animations, but I still think he's pretty good. And I really do like his release a lot. He's definitely a C tier guy. I just can't put him higher than that, especially since he doesn't move that incredibly. His SIGs aren't that great. Drew Holiday, I would have put higher a couple weeks ago probably, but his release just isn't that good. He's a very good defensive PG, and they did make him 6'5", but he struggles as a shooter because of the fact that his release isn't that good. So we're going to throw him in the C tier. LaMelo's going to go S tier for sure. I mean, LaMelo is arguably the best point guard in the game. He's 6'7" with top tier SIGs, a top tier release, great all around badges, 30 hops is insane. He's the only dark matter point guard on this list besides, well, there's 4 dark matter point guards in this list, but he's the only one with truly elite size and release. And I mean, just everything on the card is awesome. Like, he's a top tier card. He definitely goes S tier for me. Lance will make you dance. Mr. Stevenson, he's going to go in the, I don't know, 6'5". He is a good speed. He does have good speed. He's a solid defender, which is nice. And he's got solid size. He can shoot. He does have gold limitless. Lance's release is always pretty decent in 2K. Normal 2 is good. SIGs, this Ray for Austin size up is horrific. It's so troll. But outside of that, I mean, his SIGs aren't bad. It's just, oh, that kills you, dude. That size up, we're going to go high C again. We got a lot of C tier cards, but I don't know. I think I got to go C. He's just not quite good enough in my opinion. We have too many C tier guys. Would I take Luka over Lance, Drew Holiday, or Dion Waiters? I don't think so. So we're going to go with him in C tier as well. And I'm going to have to move one of these guys up. And I think Dion Waiters is the best all around. So I'm going to move Dion up. Lance would be the best all around, but that size up just kills me. I guess you could do a behind the back size up instead, which is fine. But we'll move them both up actually for right now, because I think they're honestly both pretty good. Luka's just really big, but he's really stinks. He's my favorite player in the league. I want him to be good so bad, but he was awesome last year with the same release, but this year it's not uncontestable and it's just poopy. I'm not a fan of his release at all, which is a damn shame, but I mean, his next card will be great, I'm sure. I bet they'll change all those animations and stuff. But for right now, I still got to put him C tier. I just think it's fair. Magic's going to go S tier for sure as well. Magic's a top tier card. Awesome movement, incredible size, great dunk animations. He's got the best behind the back in the game. Lillard behind the back, which is better on him than anybody else. And he's just an absolute monster. Malik Monk's fine, but his release isn't next level. He's not a great defensive card. He's good, but he's not insane. Like, all these guys are good, but he's got to go D tier, I think. Oscar's going to go, I'm going to put Oscar S. I think I'm going to do it. Oscar is an S tier point guard in my opinion. He is my 5th S tier point guard. I will say his release is not quite as good as Harden's, but I think he gives you a little bit more on the defensive end than Harden. His SIGs are really, really good. He's a great, great card. His upper's awesome. I just don't love his base, but I do think his release is pretty good. Kind of like Gary Payton's. They're honestly pretty similar cards in a lot of ways. I think Gary might be a little bit better defensively, Oscar a little better offensively, but they're both awesome, and I think they're the 2 best semi-short PGs in the game. So gonna go S tier for both of them. Russell Westbrook is a very, very high B tier in my opinion. I think you could argue him A. I'm not quite gonna do that, but I think he's very good. I will say that. Definitely pretty high on Russ as a point guard. I mean, he's my favorite, like, super short point guard, like under 6'4". I do think he's pretty fun to use and very good. Incredible slasher as well. But just a tiny bit undersized. I got to put him in B. I don't know. SGA 6'6". I love his release. I like his SIGs. I don't love his defense, but I like his defense. It's solid. He's got the size. I think he's one of the lower end A tier point guards, but I do think he's pretty good. I'm sorry, Steph. You're just not good enough, man. He's too small. His player build's too small. He's not good enough defensively. His SIGs are good, but they're a little overrated, especially his dribble style, which I don't love. I really do think he's D tier. The only reason I put Trae Young on this list is because I like to complain about this card, because why in the world was Trae Young ever in people's mind as a level 40 reward? That still blows my mind. That was the worst level 40 decision in the history of ever. Just awful. What are we doing, 2K? And if you're going to make him the low of 40, you have to be able to dunk the ball and play some sort of defense, but they decided to not even do that. So what in the world was 2K thinking with this low of 40? Worst decision ever. Obvious D tier. He's not on the level of any of the other cards on this list. I just like to complain about this card and remind y'all, okay, every once in a while how stupid of a decision that was to make him the low of 40. So anyways, he's going D tier. Tyler Hero. Moving on. He's A tier. I think Hero's very good. I don't think he's quite an S tier point guard, but I do like the card a lot. I'd say he's the 6th or 7th best, probably 7th best point guard in the game right now. I think I'd take him over all these other guys except for Denny in the top 5. So definitely think he's good, just not quite next level. And then we're going to go Tyreke Evans in the B tier, and I think this actually wraps it out really well. Tyreke Evans has good size. I don't like his release quite as much as SGA's. He's a slightly better slasher than SGA, does have great dunk animations, and he's a decent enough defender as well. Does give you the good size and a good player build that I'm looking for at the point guard position. So overall, pretty solid card. Definitely a fan of Mr. Tyreke Evans, and we're going to throw him in the B tier as well, which rounds this tier list out actually very perfectly. We have everybody, 5 players in each tier, which I think is the first time we've had an evenly sorted tier list, which is kind of cool. But let me know what y'all think of my rankings down in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.